So let's just dive into a little bit about more so like the education side of it. I mean, you talked about being a graphic designer, and obviously we share that similarities in my early days as well. And one of my drawbacks to being a graphic designer is like they teach you how to design, they teach you the principles of art, they teach you how to create things, but they don't teach you anything about monetization, sales, or marketing whatsoever. Was that the same thing that you got when you went to school? And if it is, then how did you kind of get to where you are, where you learned those items afterwards?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and it absolutely is true. It's interesting that they keep the marketing separate from visual communications because they are so entwined with each other. Um, just I think for me, I've always had like I said back in the day, playing music, selling things at our merch table, creating like little tours, working with managers, things like that. Um, that kind of that desire for entrepreneurialism and also just wanting to be able to kind of push and make change, that is definitely what got me interested in kind of going off on my own. um, and just knowing that out there's a lot of companies, and a lot of people with a lot of employees and things like that, and you're like, we're a company of six or eight, or even back when I was by myself hiring freelancers, we're like, we could do this better
Hmm.
and probably for a fraction of the cost. So when you realize those opportunities and those gaps in the market, and where you can kind of find your stake in the ground, that's where it starts to get exciting, and that passion really starts flowing out.
So was it one of those things that you kind of just did the self discovery of figuring these things out, or did you kind of have like a mentor, or was there a particular book that you read that kind of made your eyes wake up and realize that you're going in the right direction?
I just kind of figured it out on my own. I didn't have any mentors along the way. I met some great people, throughout my career, and have definitely learned things working with others. But, we didn't get a business advisor until last year. And, I'm kicking myself. I was like, we should have done this a long time ago. So for anyone obviously growing or wanting to be an entrepreneur, having a mentor, an advisor, something like that is going to be huge to, just your development as a whole. Um, I'm not saying that, I made, a critical mistake, but I know it may have been a little bit more quicker in terms of the progress and things like that, because you're not learning every experience on your own, not making those mistakes. They can kind of raise a red flag before you get there.